Today I woke up to an insane amount of snow. Looking out the window, I started second guessing my planned trip from Oslo to Stavanger in the Xpeng G9 all-wheel drive performance I have on loan this week. The G9 having dual electric motors, all-wheel drive, air suspension, and Nokian winter tires, it is more than capable of tackling challenging winter conditions. But looking out of the window, I wouldn't describe this as challenging winter conditions, but more like extreme and insane conditions for driving, no matter what car. As the optimist I am, I jumped into the car and set off into the blizzard, hoping for the best. Spoiler alert, I could not even predict how bad the conditions were about to get. Today has to be the worst day of the year for me to travel from Oslo to Stavanger via Kristiansand or via anywhere in the south of Norway or southern parts of Norway that is south of, Trondheim, because of the immense snowfall we've had the past few days here in eastern Norway and now in southern Norway and in the Stavanger area as well. I'm only about 10 kilometers from where I started, and we're already in bumper to bumper traffic. It is going at 10 kilometers an hour. According to the car, this trip should take 6.5 hours. And for some reason, when I put the hotel where I'm going to stay at into the navigation system here, Quality Hotel Pond, I say start navigation. And then the car's going to tell me that, you don't have enough battery. And then it will think for a little bit, and then it will light up the add charging stations there. And then when I do that, and then start navigation, it says not enough charging stations. What? Not enough charging stations? It's showing us 1, 2, 3, 4 charging stations to get to Kristiansand alone. And we know there are a lot more. So I don't know what this navigation system is up to. It doesn't seem to be the best at route planning and battery management as far as I can see from here. But we'll have to see once we get going and we are outside of Oslo. So it's come to a complete dead stop now. The problem with that is the snow then lays on the windscreen, and then when the wipers wipe away the snow, because it is -6 degrees outside, the water is melting towards the windscreen, and then it will just accumulate a lot of ice on the wiper blades. Not a problem when you're going like 50, 60, 70 kilometers an hour or faster, but when you're going at a slow pace, that is an issue, because when you're going a little bit faster, the snow just doesn't lay on the windscreen, just blows right off. So yeah, this is going to be a very interesting day. I don't know if I'm going to have to abort the trip and go back halfway, maybe go back in an hour. I have no idea how today's trip is gonna go, but one thing I do know, I wouldn't be in many other cars than this Xpeng G9, because I've been driving it for almost a week now in winter and snowy weather, and it is actually really good. It has taken us more than 1.5 hours to go 60 kilometers, and we're gonna have to stop again now for like the 10th time to clean the ice off the wipers. Look at the windscreen, guys. It's just full of ice, and when I try to wipe, there's so much ice on the wipers and it just doesn't go away. We're also out of washer fluid, so we have to fill that. So we have to do a service stop here at this Shell station, but that is fine because we were stuck behind like these two plowing trucks, which was covering both lanes on the road, meaning that we were just going super slow. But yeah, I mean the front heater, the defroster of the front windscreen is blowing at full pace now and is not able to really keep the front windscreen not from icing up because we're going too slow. And also you can check the rear view window also, the rear window. I mean, same issue with the wipers there, doesn't cover any ice. And like the heat, like the threads in the rear window just aren't good enough for defrosting the window at all. So I have to go out and yeah, have to clear a lot of snow and then fill some washer fluid, go to the toilet, and maybe get something to eat. I ate before I left because I'm like, we could get stuck in traffic. And I've stopped, like, yeah, you saw all the cars that were stuck alongside the road, all the trucks. And I have probably stopped like 3 or 4 times already, at least to clear ice off those wipers. Yeah, big weakness of this car. And so far, yeah, 1 hour and 35 minutes to go 66 kilometers. That is a really long time. We still have like 6 hours to go, so I'm not sure how late we're gonna arrive in Stavanger. The difference in weather once we got a little bit out of Oslo is night and day. And for the past like half hour, 45 minutes, we've had clear blue skies. So it's progressively gotten better and better and better. And also temperature outside, we've reached as high as 2+ degrees from like -8. So yeah, if I aborted this trip, like I was really close to aborting this trip like right out of Oslo because it was such hard conditions, but I'm so glad I didn't because yeah, once I got on the road, it is a lot better. So we're gonna go to the Circle K charger here and do our first charging stop of the day right over here. I think we're possibly gonna have to do another little bit shorter charging trip a little bit down the road, but yeah, all of these are vacant, so none of them are occupied, which is really nice because this car can get like 300 to 350 kilowatts of peak charging speed, and these chargers deliver a peak of 300 kilowatts, maximum of 300 kilowatts. So we're going to take the one all the way to the right here, and hopefully we won't see any other cars parking on this charger here. So before we do that, I just want to show you guys that yeah, average consumption the past 76 minutes is 26.8 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So unfortunately, this car resets the trip computer every time you get in and out of the car. That is ignition off and on, and there's no way to do like a whole trip like from reset. The guy at Xpeng told me this is the only way to yeah, measure the consumption, and you can't restart it either manually. You have to just get in and out of the car. But at the end of the video, I'm going to give you guys the total consumption because I am taking notes of all of trips underway every time it restarts. So we have 16 kilometers of range left. I have navigated to a charger which is about 30 kilometers down the road because the car didn't find this charger here in the navigation system. You can see here there's also no charger here anywhere. So hopefully the car should have preheated. And also you can see that 16 kilometers left. I talked about this in another video, is that this car doesn't show you the actual battery percentage. You can see there 16%, and what you can do sometimes, you can slide that, you can click in here and then you can slide this all the way down to just to measure it manually. But you can't go below 50%. So we'll have to connect to the charger here and then see what percentage we are actually at, because the car won't tell us. The charge port on the Xpeng G9 is here on the rear passenger side. So we've now connected, and you can see there's so much snow here. I can't even get to the screen here. So I'll have to swivel the camera around here so you guys can see that we're getting, yeah, so first off, we're at 4% state of charge. That is really nice to note. And the speed is climbing now. So while that is climbing, and hopefully we will get, you know, close to that 300 to 350, or we won't get 350 because this charger only gives a maximum of 300 kilowatts, but hopefully we'll get close to that 300 kilowatts of peak charging speed. So while we're waiting for the car to ramp up the speed, I just want to give a huge thanks to today's video sponsor, which is Elton. The Elton charging app is the best charging app if you live in Norway, Sweden, Finland, or Denmark, and it's the charging app I used to start this charger here. It has a really nice map interface where you can see where the chargers are, you can see the vacancy, you can see the speeds, and all of that information. And in that charging interface, in one app with one payment method, you can charge at almost all charge point operators in all of these countries. So if you want to support the channel, if you want one of the best charging apps on the market, go to the link in the description box down below and download the Elton charging app from there. So let's go over here and see what charging speed we are now up to. Let's press this button over here and let's see, 129.2 kilowatts. So let's hop into the car, wait a little bit and see if that climbs at all. Maybe not sure. I just hopped back in the car and we're already at 213 kilowatts, 217, 218, and climbing. Again, I don't know what percentage we are at, but the car is indicating 40 kilometers, 41 kilometers of range. So I don't know, more than before. Who the heck knows? Hopefully they will fix that with an update. The, press guy at Xpeng has told me that they have requested from the engineers that they want, you know, the battery percentage somewhere as a readout, which is really strange in an electric car that you don't have that. Should be fundamental. But 223 kilowatts, climbing. So let's see in a little bit more if we get even closer to that 300 kilowatts. But now in winter, 0 degrees Celsius outside, getting 224 kilowatts. Yeah, that is not too shabby. We're around 120 kilometers away from the hotel in Stavanger, now doing our second charging stop of the day, only about 2 hours after our first charging stop, now here at this Ionity charger next to this Circle K station in Sirnes. The car was actually estimating we would have been able to arrive at the hotel with around 70 kilometers of range left, or roughly, according to my calculations, because the car doesn't have a percentage readout, we would arrive with around 15 to 20% state to charge. So plenty of battery, no need to do a second charging stop. But there are a few reasons for, well, doing this. First off, I'm not in a hurry. I just have to get to the hotel today because I'm actually going to Stavanger for a meeting tomorrow with one of the main sponsors here on the channel, who I've been working for about 2.5 years now, Zaptec. So maybe I'll make a video from their headquarters. It's the first time I'm visiting them, which is crazy. I've been working with them since like September 2021 or something like crazy like that, a long time ago. And I actually haven't met anybody in person, which is pretty insane. So I wanted to make this trip to Stavanger, even though the weather today has been completely crazy, at least when we started today's trip. So I'm not in a hurry. I just have to reach the hotel. And also stopping now, so I do the charging session, I can go to the hotel, I can eat, I can edit, I can rest, instead of going there and then going out to charge, because I am leaving back tomorrow after the meeting. So charging a little bit now would have been, it's just nice and just practical. Like I have to do it at some point, so why don't just do it here when they had an Ionity charger. We're only getting 185 kilowatts now. We peaked at around 202, so a little bit lower peak charging speed, but I also didn't precondition the battery for more than like 10 minutes because I'm like, oh, maybe I should look for a charger, and then and 10 kilometers after I put the, or found a charger, we were here. So about 10 or 12 minutes of preconditioning. The other reason is I actually have to fill up washer fluid. We did that at our first stop at Grelland at the Shell station when I was clearing, the wipers from ice. We haven't had that issue now because it hasn't been snowing, even though it has been really cold. Nothing has been icing up. So that's only been, in combination with the snow, it melting, and then, yeah, just terrible. Just terrible. So this car could really benefit from heated wipers. A lot of cars have, heated wipers, or they have a heated section on the bottom, like these heat threads on the bottom of the windshield where the wipers rest. This car really would have benefited. So I have to do a stop either way, and then I can also maybe do a coffee. It's getting a little bit late now. It's 7 in the evening. So yeah, it was just nice to do a stop. So I'm gonna jump in. We have about 23 minutes left till the car's fully charged, which is super impressive. But now, only charging at 97 kilowatts at what I'm guessing is around 75% state of charge. I've now made it to the hotel here in Stavanger safely and without any more issues with wipers or anything with the car, thankfully. But when I left Oslo this morning, I was like, this doesn't look promising at all. I woke up to like the worst snowstorm, the most amount of snow I've ever seen living in Eastern Norway. I've lived in Eastern Norway like since 2017, and like by far the most snow I've ever seen in my life, like in any city. It was like insane. And it just got worse and worse. Like before I started moving, driving towards Stavanger, I went out and did some errands, and I'm like, if this continues, they may just close all the roads. Like the metro was closed, the train station was closed, Oslo airport was closed. Like everything was just closing down. And I'm like, usually like Oslo, being used to a lot of snow in the winter, can operate during even like the worst snow days. But today was like probably the worst day ever. It was completely insane. And then in Kristiansand, like the past week, I've been reading about a lot of snow. And then here in Stavanger yesterday, like complete chaos, the airport being closed several times and roads being closed, like trucks like just blocking roads. I'm like, this is the worst day to travel anywhere in Norway. What's the worst thing that can happen? In my head, it was like, I just have to abort the trip and then go back to where I started. But yeah, when I started moving out of Oslo, I'm like, this is complete chaos. Like so much snow, so much traffic, like cars stuck, trucks stuck everywhere. I haven't seen anything like this ever. Complete chaos. But thankfully, and what I was hoping, once we, got a little bit out of Oslo, the roads and the weather would clear up, and that's what happened. Like just an hour, 2 hours out of Oslo, like the conditions were actually pretty decent, and like from Kristiansand up here, yeah, not bad at all, not bad at all. And this car, yeah, a real nice car to drive on a trip like this. There is one thing though, maybe I'm going to talk about this more in depth in my review. The rear end of this car, the way it's calibrated with the powertrain, with the regen, it kind of like steps out a little bit. It feels very nervous on turn in and off throttle, where the back just a little bit of movement. It feels very unnatural. It may be because it actually is very slippery outside. This car is on pretty small wheels, 255, 55 19s. Like not a lot of width on the tire for this size of vehicle. But again, I've driven other cars like basically this size, almost this weight with narrow wheels, and I haven't felt that. So something about the tuning, the suspension setup in this car. So it's just weird. I'm maybe going to talk about it more in my actual review. But other than that, this has been a really nice car to travel with today, except for the wiper blades just icing up. So 2 charging stops, total of 50 minutes charging. We're now here with basically like 55-60% battery, 246 kilometers of range left. The car says like for the past 100 kilometers, 26.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, but I'm going to put on the screen now the average consumption for the trip, the total charging time, and the peak charging speeds of the different charging sessions. So yeah, like I never felt anything than confident in this car, except for the rear end at passing speeds where you're passing a car and then you're moving back into the lane and like going off the throttle feels a little bit nervous. So for non-experienced drivers, that may feel a little bit unsettling, and also the wipers icing up. Other than that, an awesome car to travel on a long trip test. So guys, I'm gonna go in now. I'm gonna check into the hotel. Gonna probably get something to eat, a little bit, edit a little bit of video, and yeah, call it a night. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below, and for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.